This is Romeo. We all know his basic story. Sad, then he meets Juliet, and they fall in love despite the drama between their two families, which has gone on for years and years. And then, things progress, and, Juliet puts herself to sleep, and Romeo finds her, and then he kills himself, and then Juliet kills herself too. Basic Shakespeare. But why did Romeo have these feelings? I have a hunch that the endocrine system is to blame. The endocrine system controls all of our hormones, all starting with the tiny pituitary gland in the brain. The pituitary gland calls all the shots for our hormones and controls the other glands, like the thyroid. The thyroid is a small gland found in our necks that produces hormones to control temperature, metabolism, and heart rate. Underneath that is the thymus, which produces hormones essential to digestional and immunal health in our bodies. Next up is the pancreas, which maintains healthy blood sugar levels for us through insulin and glucagon. So the endocrine system would make sense with all the feelings that Romeo and Juliet had for each other, but that might not be the case. So maybe if it's not the endocrine system's fault, maybe it's the central nervous system's fault. The central nervous system contains two parts, the brain, which controls everything our body does, and the spinal cord, which contains cerebral spinal fluid that connects us to. The peripheral nervous system is a series of nerves that throughout the body to perform various functions. The four parts of the peripheral nervous system are the autonomic nervous system, which controls involuntary actions like keeping our heart beating and our bladders. There's also the sympathetic, which is activated during fight or flight response and produces hormones for those. Parasympathetic also has involuntary processes of the body like urination and defecation. Finally, we have the somatic, which controls bodily movements and reacting to outside stimuli, like when Romeo fights Tybalt. So maybe the central nervous system or the peripheral nervous system is to blame because of all the fight or flight responses Romeo had, such as when he saw Juliet dead, he killed himself too. So this is interesting and all, but how does it work? These systems rely on neurons. Neurons consist of dendrites, represented by the spikes with a red center, the axon, which is underneath the yellow myelin sheath. Neurons have neurotransmitters running through them, such as noradrenaline in the red, which mobilizes the brain and the body. In orange, we have adrenaline, which controls blood pressure and the respiratory system. In yellow, we have serotonin, which is related to learning, reward, and memory. In green, we have glutamate, which excites and speeds up neurological processes. In blue, we have GABA, which is basically the opposite of glutamate, and inhibits and slows down processes in the brain. And finally, in purple, we have histamine, which assists our immune systems. Neurons and neurotransmitters work together by moving down the axon of the neuron, jumping across the synapse once enough action potential is built up and the energy threshold has been met, and moving to the next and next neuron until it's in the place it needs to be. So, in conclusion, we don't know what truly was happening in Romeo's mind during the course of his story with Juliet, but we do know what was happening in his brain.